Thank you so much for joining us. I will be fast because we have lost a lot of time, and this is welcoming you to the first segment of our broadcast today. And permit me to say good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good night to you, dependent on your time zone. Network has been so messy. That is what that has delayed our coming on air for the past 3 hours or so. I will be very, very fast, as I said. I am Pastor Maxwell Onaway, and today is the last day of the month of June. By the next 4 hours or so, we are going to be entering into the second half of 2024, being the month of July, and it promises to be a very interesting and engaging second half of the year. Remember that the month of July is the seventh month in the year, and number seven has the spiritual connotation of perfection. It has the spiritual connotation of perfection and also completion. So I believe that in the second half of the year, whatever you have not been able to accomplish or perfect, which you started from the first month of the year, by the grace of God, you will be able to perfect them. God will grant you the grace and supply you with all the resources that you need to perfect them, whether it is your project, whether it is whatever plan, vision, and maybe you want to establish a business. Looking at the economy of the country, you've not been able to find a footing, you've not been able to achieve your desired goals. I trust God that in this very second half of the year, beginning tomorrow, God is going to perfect it. It is an interesting news item in our hand today. Multinationals exit. Multinationals exit. Worsening Nigeria's economic crisis. APC chieftain. Multinationals exit. The exit of multinational companies in the country. The APC chieftain has said it is worsening the country's economic crisis. In other words, it is a bad omen for the economy of Nigeria. The way and manner that the multinationals have been exiting the country. You remember some days ago, I gave you a detailed update, and there is the list of many multinational companies that have shut down completely, outrightly, that have pulled out of the country, and many more are leaving the country. So many, so many. When I did a little research, I didn't even know that so many had already left. They just quietly left unnoticed. Some were reported, but not really reported. And the concern of the exit was not raised as at the time the exodus began. Just lately, some people began to take into account the records, the list of multinational companies, and these are companies that employs up to 1,000 workers, up to 2,000, 4,000 workers. We're going to see some of them in this very segment of the broadcast. An APC chieftain has decided to speak out, and this is not an opposition party man. He's a chieftain of the ruling party, All Progressive Congress, which is the party of the president of the country. And his name, let me find his name. His name is Olatubosun Oyintiloye. I think he's from Yoruba. He's from the southwest. He has spoken that the multinationals exit is worsening Nigeria's economic crisis. In other words, it's not helping matters. So multinationals are not the president of the country. The multinationals are not the lawmakers. The multinationals, yes, we understand, they are not the governors of the states in the country, but they play a major role that affect the economy of the country positively or negatively. But in this case, positively, because they help the government to employ the citizens of the country or the residents of the country in their different locations. Their exit en masse is leading to loss of jobs en masse. If a multinational company that employs about 4,000 workers or 500 workers or 2,000 workers, when they shut down, it means that the number of those staffs that have been working in that establishment, they have also lost their jobs. And what is the economic impact of the country? There are many people who are already in the labor market, many graduates. Every year, there's graduation ceremony in different institutions. Many graduates are coming out, both from the polytechnic, both from the universities, both from the colleges of education. Many are graduating every blessed year. So each of the number of the graduates that makes it successfully at the end of the studies, they goes into what is called the labor market. They begin to look for job. So the people who are already employed and working, if they are laid off, the company shuts down, they are laid off, what happens? They goes back into the labor market to join those who are fresh graduates who recently joined the labor market. They join them. You discover that the number of the unemployed people in the labor market is quite astronomical, and it doesn't mean well for the country. The exit of the multinationals leaving Nigeria en masse is worsening the economic crisis of the country. This is what the APC chieftain is saying. I'm going to bring it to the screen without further ado, because we have lost a lot of time because of network. For the past 3 hours, I've tried all I could to come to you, and thank God we are here. This is it. Multinationals exit worsening Nigeria's economic crisis. So this is a statement of admission that indeed there is economic crisis already in the country. And the exit of the multinationals are worsening, making it worse. It is making it worse. Worse than it is. Worse than it is. So let's go into the details of what the APC chieftain has to say. A chieftain of the All Progressive Congress APC, Olatobunsun Oyintiloye, has expressed concern over the mass exit of multinational companies from Nigeria in recent times, stressing that the ugly trend is worsening the economic crisis of the country as hundreds, if not thousands of Nigerians have lost their jobs as a result, which is very correct. Hundreds, if not thousands, of Nigerians have lost their jobs upon the exit of any of these companies that employ them. Economic analysts had said that continuous exit of multinationals from Nigeria is not a good omen to the economy, as this will reduce foreign investment inflows and affect the federal government plan to reach a $1 trillion GDP. Economic analysts had said that continuous exit of multinationals from Nigeria is not a good omen to the country economy, as this will reduce foreign investment inflows and affect the federal government's plan to reach a $1 trillion GDP. So the government of Bola Ahmed Tinubu has the target, has the plan, as we are being told, to reach a $1 trillion GDP. What is GDP? GDP is gross domestic product. Gross domestic product. The products that Nigerians have been able to produce, what the country produces, be it in the private sector or in the government establishments, industries or factories, be it in agric, be it whatsoever that Nigeria is in as a nation. So the target of the government is to have about $1 trillion gross domestic product produced, and in turn the dividend, of such products amounting to this $1 trillion. Okay? So the multinationals who are already in the country they're supposed to be in the country in order for the country to have a direct foreign investment inflows, because their presence will attract foreign investment more and more to strengthen the economy of the country. According to the APC chieftain, there is no doubt that if these foreign companies continue to exit Nigeria, it will have adverse effects on our economy. It will have adverse effect on our economy. He continued, the exit of multinationals will worsen the economic challenges facing Nigerians. The trend will lead to a higher unemployment rate because Nigerians working in these companies may be retrenched after a change in ownership, decline in foreign investments, increased inflationary pressures, instability in foreign exchange, and reduction in government revenue will also set in. This is interesting. The things he highlighted here are very important. Let's look at them again. The exit of multinationals will worsen the economic challenges facing Nigerians. The trend will lead to, number one, a higher unemployment rate. Yes, that is the truth. A higher unemployment rate because Nigerians working in these companies may be retrenched after a change in ownership. When this happens, there will be a change of ownership. Maybe another company may decide to buy this very exiting company, or there will be outright selling of it, and it may be converted to something entirely different based on whoever that is buying the company. Or it may be outright shut down of business operations, not selling off, the business itself or the company itself. So what next will happen? Decline in foreign investment. Yes, not only that many Nigerians are going to be retrenched or laid off, there's going to be a decline in foreign investments. Next is increased inflationary pressures. Increased inflationary pressures, which is pressures that comes as a result of inflation. A lot of Nigerians today are under serious pressure. A lot. A lot. There was a woman that jumped off from a flyover today. I'm going to bring that very story before the end of this segment of the broadcast. Due to pressure, she couldn't take it anymore. A mother of three, she decided to take her life today. Jumped off a flyover in Delta State. So tragic. Inflationary pressure. Inflationary pressures. What about those that people were not around to capture on camera? What about those that nobody was around to capture the information, the news? A lot has been happening in the country. Many people cannot take it anymore. Those who are so decent that they cannot resort to crimes or criminality have taken their lives. Instability in foreign exchange, which is the truth. The foreign exchange, there will be no stability, and reduction in government revenue. Yes, the government revenue will reduce drastically, and this is going to affect the economy of the country. And when it affects the economy of the country, the people that bears the brunt of this kind of decline or this worsening economic situation are the common people, the common masses in the street. They are the ones who are adversely affected, because we know that the politicians have already stockpiled a lot of money in foreign accounts abroad. He continued, take for instance, Procter and Gamble alone accounted for approximately 5,000 jobs. 5,000 jobs. Procter and Gamble, they provided approximately 5,000 jobs, and they have shut down. They left the country, and the 5,000 jobs are gone. So ultimately, 5,000 Nigerians are out of job as a result of the shutdown of this very company. I hope you're following. The exit of GlaxoSmithKline with a market capital of 22 billion naira and over 400 highly technical workers will further exacerbate the already terrible unemployment rate. I hope you're following. It is not a good trend. It is not a good news for the country's economy. He continued. Also, with the exit of Unilever with a net worth of 50 billion naira and 755 employees, the concern keeps growing. I hope you're following. I hope you are following. The APC chieftain continued. Within the value chain, numerous enterprises serve as suppliers to these major corporations, and the sustainability of these companies is significantly threatened when the primary source of the business is facing a threat. The chances for survival of these secondary businesses are at stake, and their employees are also at risk of losing their jobs. There is an urgent need for us to pay more attention to the crisis within the value chain system than the situation is currently receiving. That is what he said. Unfortunately. Recall that Reuters had made a publication of the economic realities of the country rising from President Tinubu's reforms, insecurity, and other factors. According to Reuters, millions in Africa's largest economy grappling with the worst cost of living crisis indicates that has deepened since President Bola Tinubu introduced bold but unpopular economic reforms after he assumed office. According to Reuters, foreign companies like Procter and Gamble will stop manufacturing in Nigeria. They have already stopped, while drug makers GSK PLC and Bayer AG will contract third parties to distribute their products, in part due to tough operating conditions and the Naira slump. Reuters continued, Africa's biggest telecoms operator, MTN Group, MTN, opens new tab, posted a big fall in full-year profit, citing Naira devaluation, which also prompted soap maker PZ Cousins PLC opens new tab to issue a profit warning, which they have already done. Widespread insecurity in food growing areas. This is the report that is coming from Reuters. Widespread insecurity in food growing areas, including abduction for ransom by armed gangs, a long-running Islamist insurgency, and farmer herders clashes is adding to the woes by keeping many farmers away from their fields. Additionally, Surest Foam Limited, Mufex, Frama Industries, MZM Continental, Nipol Industries, Mook Industries, Stone Industries, and GlaxoSmithKline Consumer Nigeria are among companies and major employers of labor that have shut down recently in the country. Unilever stopped the production of its legendary Omo, Sunlight, and Lux home and skincare brands in a bid to cut costs, leading to loss of jobs. It is very unfortunate. Very, very unfortunate. This is happening under the watchful eyes of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, receiving the same trend from the former president, Muhammadu Buhari, who has done his 8 years. Bola Tinubu is just been welcomed into the first year of his administration with this kind of unprecedented, unparalleled economic crisis. What is he supposed to do? He must focus on what that will transform the economy of the country rather than chasing the perceived political opponents up and down. And he should cut short. He should stop the siphoning of 500 million naira each day that Mazen Namdekan is going to court by releasing him. To release Mazen Namdekan is to bring about security in the southeast region, which will help farmers to go back to work. To release Mazen Namdekan is going to aid lasting peace in the southeast region. And when that happens, farmers are going to go back to work in the southeast. And to a great extent, if not by 30% or 50%, there is going to be the positive impact of agriculture in a very wide range in the southeast that will in turn affect the economy of the country positively. You can see what happened in Benue, a trend that lasted for 5 years, which we brought to you yesterday, that the armed bandits have placed or they have slammed 20 million naira monthly levy in Ukum local government on the indigents and residents of that very local government. And the indigents are contributing the money to make it up in order to pay to appease the armed bandits. The government said they are doing something about it, but what they are doing is not enough. So, releasing Nnamdi Kanu is going to at least arrest the insecurity situation in the southeast, which will in turn be of great benefit and advantage to the entire country, because the southeast region is going to be contributing their own quota in terms of agriculture, which will affect and cushion the effect of the economic crisis in the country. Let me bring that very news I mentioned to you before we call it a wrap on this very segment of the broadcast. This is an unfortunate news. Very, very disheartening. Very, very disheartening. Let me bring it to you. Suicide. Depressed woman plunges backwards off flyover, kills herself in Delta State. That is the work of depression. That is the impact of high inflationary pressure, which she found herself, and she couldn't deal with it. She decided to take her life, leaving her 3 children behind. It is unfortunate. Suicide. Depressed woman plunges backwards off flyover, kills herself in Delta State. It's quite unfortunate. May her soul rest in peace. That is the picture. That is the picture. The video has gone viral. Eyewitness account states the woman mounted a flyover and, after a brief pause, plunged backwards to her death on the tarred road below. A video clip of the sad suicide captured by passerby. The woman was seen inching towards the edge of the flyover before taking the fatal leap, which suddenly ended her life tragically. It was gathered was a mother of who had been for her family. However, the actual reason behind her final decision to end her life are yet to be. It's already very clear. There is nothing to ascertain anymore. It is the depression, high inflationary pressure that she could not deal. Although the reported confession to a neighbor made by the deceased the previous night before the tragic end of her life, stating she was tired. She was tired of begging and facing insults, rejection, and her children. She also expressed frustration ability to find even a menial job, with people calling her lazy with understanding the difficulties she was facing. Quite unfortunate. Quite unfortunate. May her soul rest in peace. And like as I said some time ago, suicide is not an option. Whatever be the case, what you are going through now, someone else is going through the same. And this is why, in such a time as this, read the Bible, trust and hope in God. He's going to come through for you, and your mourning will be ended, and your joy will come in the morning. God bless you.